Want to talk about what happened last week with this guy, Craig Robertson. Who the hell is Craig Robertson, you may be asking? Well, Craig Robertson was a 74-year-old man in Utah who was shot by the FBI for threatening the president. If you guys did not know this, it is illegal to threaten anyone. You're not allowed to threaten people online or elsewhere. It is especially illegal, however, to threaten the President of the United States. The Secret Service does take these threats incredibly seriously. If you make an expression which is even tangentially related to doing the president harm on any kind of social media, you will be getting a call from the Secret Service. They will show up, they will investigate, because that is their job. And if they think that you're a credible threat, then you will go to jail, right? This is what they do, no matter how small it is. You know, there's stories about rappers and stuff. Like I remember way back in the day, this one rapper wrote a song about shooting George W. Bush. Got a visit from the Secret Service. They don't play around when it comes to that stuff, right? I also remember a story that people like using other people's email addresses. Like one way that you could fuck somebody up was to like spoof their email address and send like a threat to the president. Like stuff like that. Like that was a thing way back in the day. So they don't play around, right? So what exactly happened with this guy? Well, I want to go ahead and open up the article. And let's make it big here because I think this one bears reading. Utah man suspected of threatening President Joe Biden shot and killed as FBI served warrant. An unarmed Utah man accused of making violent threats against President Joe Biden was shot and killed by FBI agents hours before the president landed in state Wednesday, authorities said. Special agents were trying to serve a warrant on the home of Craig DeLeeuw Robertson. What the hell kind of name is DeLeeuw? DELEEUW. Okay. That's some kind of like weird ass fucking alien name or whatever. Maybe this guy was from Mars or some shit. In Provo, south of Salt Lake City, when the shooting happened at 6:15 a.m., the FBI said in a statement, "Damn, they come early, the FBI. Early in the morning, huh? Coffee, donuts, and then arresting a terrorist, I guess." Robertson was armed at the time of the shooting, according to law enforcement sources who spoke to the Associated Press on the condition of anonymity to discuss details of the ongoing investigation. Robertson posted online Monday that he had heard Biden was coming to Utah and he was planning to dig out a camouflage suit and begin cleaning the dust off the M24 sniper rifle. A post that came after months of graphic online threats against several public figures, according to court documents. Robertson referred to himself as a MAGA Trumper, for reference to former President Donald Trump's Make America Great Again slogan, and also posted threats against top law enforcement officials overseeing court cases against Trump. Gee. He liked Donald Trump, the guy that wanted to snipe the president, was a fan of Donald Trump. Who would have thunk it? Okay. Neighbors describe Robertson as a frail, elderly man. His online profile put his age as 74, who walked with the aid of a hand-carved stick. Though he regularly carried guns, they said he didn't seem a threat. I don't understand how that works, how anyone who could regularly carry a gun not be seen as a threat. I mean, the entire point of carrying a gun is so that you are threatening to people. That's the only reason anyone actually carries a gun at all in the first place, is so that they can be a threat to people, right? So that they have the ability to kill people. If someone, I don't know, cuts in front of them in line at Starbucks or something, they could just shoot you in the head, right? Or whatever. If somebody like accidentally bumps their car, you know, when they're like getting out of the car and you like open your car door and it like bumps the other guy's door, so they can just like shoot you or whatever. Or like, you know, maybe you like buy the last chocolate donut before they get to it and they could just like shoot you and take it. That's the only reason to carry a fucking gun, so that you have the illusion of safety, but really it's so that you can intimidate other people. But anyway, I digress. There's no way that he was driving from here to Salt Lake City, setting up a rifle and taking a shot at the president. 100% no way, said neighbor Andrew Mander outside the church across from Robertson Street. Yeah, okay. No way that he would do it, huh? Is there anything else here? Blah, blah, blah. Let's look at what he was actually saying. Okay. Robertson's post indicated he did appear to own a long-range sniper rifle and numerous other weapons, as well as camouflage gear known as a ghillie suit. All right. So he actually owned the shit that he said that he had. Robertson also referenced a presidential assassination and also posted threats against Manhattan City District Alvin Bragg, U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland, and New York City General Letitia James, authorities said. Which, for those of you not keeping score, Alvin Bragg and Letitia James are two of the attorney generals which have indicted Donald Trump for the many, many crimes that he has committed. And I feel safe saying he has committed, right? Because I'm confident that this is all going to come out and it's going to be proved that he committed these crimes. But, I guess for now I have to say allegedly. So, quote unquote, allegedly committed. Just that way I can't get sued. The time is right for a presidential assassination or two. First Joe, then Kamala, authorities say Robinson wrote in a September 2022 Facebook post included in the filings. See, folks, you can't go and threaten the president online without there being repercussions. Here's some of the crap this guy's actually been saying. What we know about the Provo man killed by FBI agents suspected of threatening President Biden. This is the Salt Lake Tribune. He seemed like a weird old guy, but everyone knows a weird old guy, one neighbor said. Here we go. One neighbor described Craig Robertson as a good guy who could sometimes rub people the wrong way. Oh, he was a good guy. He just collected guns and hated Democrats and threatened to kill the president. But he's a good guy. All right. He definitely has political views, which he was very public about on Facebook, Andrew Maunder said. But I think deep down he was just a cranky old guy who was harmless. Cranky old guy. Okay. What do we know about him? Here we go. This is the quote, the weird old guy. You wouldn't imagine that the FBI would come to kill him. This is another person, Paul Searing, who lived in the neighborhood until selling his home a few years ago, said he'd been friends with Robertson for 22 years. Searing said Robertson served as a ward clerk and taught hunting classes that emphasized treating animals with respect. Okay. Described Robertson as someone who always offered a handshake. All right. He noticed the tone in Robertson's social media posts were more extreme, but I don't think that was anything more than an old man just trying to share frustration with what's going on in the world. Searing said, I don't think he was actually going to drive up to Salt Lake and do anything. I mean, he was just fed up. Oh, and I'm sorry this happened. It breaks my heart. But he's with his wife now. He's such a good person. Always helping the hungry, feeding the homeless, helping kitty cats out of trees, and threatening to murder the democratically elected president of the United States. He's such a great guy. So there was one other thing I wanted to read. Let's see. He was Air Force veteran. Apparently he was also a Mormon, unless he just lived next door to the Church of Jesus Christ for Latter-day Saints. Retired welding inspector, gunsmith, woodworker, also called himself a lifetime member of the National Rifle Association. Advocate for Second Amendment, owner of many military assault rifles and guns. So he's a gun collector, he's a gun nut, and member of the NRA, all right, who's making threats to the president, who's posting that he's going to put on a camouflage suit. That's what a ghillie suit is. I think that, am I pronouncing that right? I don't know. I might be pronouncing it wrong. Who's putting on a camouflage suit and is going to murder the president with a sniper rifle. Of course, yeah, just a good old-fashioned God-fearing Christian, right, folks? The complaint included several screenshots from Robertson's profile where he threatened to shoot Bragg in a courthouse parking garage. Today I cut off Obama's head, gutted him, skinned him, roasted him, and ate him. Then I piked for an hour. P.S. Obama is the name of my neighbor's cat. LOL. Not sure what piked means, but it sounds kind of nasty. Okay. Let's see. Here's the man in question with his long-range sniper rifle. Pretty sure he knows how to use the rifle. I mean, here's a big old thing of bullets hanging out over here. If you're so into guns that you have the machine that you, like, make your own shells and shit, like, you're not just buying ammunition, you're, like, reusing shells and making your... That's a pretty good indication that you know how to use the weapon pretty well. Most likely, he was someone who often went to a shooting range, so you would say that threat would be credible. I mean, if I was the FBI and I saw this picture of him holding this big-ass fucking rifle, all this ammo, see that? This is ammo back here. This is another thing. This is spent ammo that he's, like, reshelling or whatever the fuck they call it. If I saw all this shit, I'd be like, yeah, okay. Sounds pretty plausible of a threat to me. Here he is in the ghillie suit, which is a camouflage suit that the special forces and shit use so that they can go, like, hunt, you know, terrorists in fucking Iraq or whatever and not be seen. Apparently he had one of those, right? Kind of sounds ready, willing, and able to me. Here is somebody who is in support. Right, this is a guy named Ed Krasenstein. Really disgusting to see so many people siding with Craig Robertson. I have to agree with that. He's the man who made multiple credible threats against Joe Biden, Alvin Bragg, and Kamala Harris. I see so many people blaming the FBI, asking why Kathy Griffin and Madonna and others weren't arrested. This needs to stop. People who are credible threats against other people's lives need to be arrested and thrown behind bars. Here. Not going to read this entire thing. Suffice to say that when Kathy Lee Griffin shows a picture of herself holding Trump's severed head, there is zero danger of her going down, getting an axe, and chopping off Trump's head. What should happen in that situation? Right? This is why he's showing a picture of Kathy Lee Griffin here, by the way. That's Kathy Lee Griffin. What should happen in this situation? If a celebrity, for example, or Madonna or some shit, threatens the president, the same thing that happens if anybody else threatens the president. The Secret Service pays them a little visit to investigate to see how credible the threat is. And if their threat went over the line into something which is persecutable. They did that with Kathy Lee Griffin. They showed up at her house and interviewed her because she posted a picture of herself with the president's head, like severed head. I mean, now if they were to come into her house and find a whole bunch of chainsaws and shit, and like axes, and like an anatomy book with like the parts where it's highlighted, like how to chop someone's head off, all highlighted and shit, I'm sure there would have been further repercussions. But no, what Kathy Lee Griffin did was called a joke. You know, poor taste, I guess. You know, you shouldn't say shit like that against the president, even if it is Donald Trump, even if it is a conservative. You should not be making threats against the president. You don't have to threaten the president. Somebody like Trump. You can just point out how shitty of a person they are, and that's just the same. Why did I pull this up, though? Let's see. Oh, yeah, I wanted to look at some of the tweets which were in support of Craig Robertson. I actually text some of these off here. So we already saw these pictures. These are more pictures of the guy. Here's some of the guns that this guy had. Multiple assault rifles, machine guns and shit. Are any of these illegal to own? I mean, are these all like the civilian versions, AR-15s or whatever? I don't know. I'm not a gun person. But if I were the FBI, I would be concerned if a person that had multiple firearms like this was making threats against the president, yes. Here's another one. Apparently this was on his like Facebook page as well. Right? Guy's a fucking stormtrooper. So here we go. This is the Facebook profile of Craig D. Lou Robertson, shot and killed today in Utah by FBI agents working the case on his threats to kill President Joe Biden, DA Alvin Bragg, and others. Yeah, okay. Here's one. This is a guy who is in support of Craig Robertson. Rest in peace, Craig Robertson. We will never know the truth of what happened. Conservatives are not safe in the nation with a weaponized government. This entire story is chilling. We know exactly what happened, though. What happened is that the FBI showed up to interview him because he made threats against the president. He came to the door with a machine gun, and so the FBI blew him away. That's what fucking happened. All right? They didn't, like, show up and commando raid his house with, like, a fucking tank and, like, guys, like, barreling through the windows and shooting tear gas through it and, like, a helicopter with sniper rifles and all that and, like, a fucking drone flying around. That's not what happened. What happened is that the FBI came to interview him and detain him because it is illegal to make threats against the United States president. And Craig showed up with a fucking gun to the door, and so they shot him and killed him. Because that's what happens when you show up at the door when the police come and you try to shoot the police, they kill you. That is exactly what should have happened. Right. This guy, Joey Marinano, is a right-wing podcaster, kind of wannabe influencer, you know, and is basically an outrage merchant is what he is. And he posts shit like this in order to get fucking outrage clicks. So he's a piece of shit, basically, long story short. Let's see. This is from Charlie Parker. Craig Robertson is collateral damage for the communist, no longer in the shadows government. Like Ashley Babbitt, this is another warning for patriots to stay in their lane. Yeah. Say, turning this guy into a martyr, the same way they did with Ashley Babbitt. Remember, Ashley Babbitt was the woman who was shot during January 6th. As she tried to break in to the room where all of the senators were and murder them. That's what Ashley Babbitt was doing, by the way, folks, right? Those people, where there was a huge crowd of people, right, who broke into the fucking Capitol building, and then they found out where all the senators were hiding, as the senators were hiding for their lives, and then they tried to batter down the doors so that they can go in and beat and kill the senators. And a Secret Service guy shot her and killed her, as she deserved to be shot and killed. And they should have fucking, I mean, they're lucky that the rest of the people there didn't also get shot and killed. Okay? That's exactly what should have happened. Because all those people are traitors. They're traitors. They wanted to murder Congress. That's what they were there for. They were there to kill all of the congressmen. So no. The shooting of Ashley Babbitt was 100% justified. And if you don't like it, you can kiss my big, hairy, flabby butt cheeks. Because fuck you. You are a traitor. Seriously. This fucking, she was a traitor. Ashley Babbitt was a traitor. Literal traitor. This is treason. To go to the United States Capitol building and try to murder senators is... If that's not fucking treason, then what is? Alright. So no, fuck that guy. I'm not going to bother watching this video, but it's probably some stupid fucking right-wing bullshit. Here's a few more. Tweets that are in support. Oh wait, this is the one that I just showed you. A few more tweets that are in support of Craig Robertson. This is somebody named Katia. Neighbors say 50 agents followed up to execute Craig Robertson. They used him for target practice. Who's next? 50 agents? I can guarantee you that's not what happened. 50 agents did not show up to kill this guy. 100%. If that turns out to be true, right? If later on video comes out of like this being like another Waco kind of thing, another Ruby Ridge kind of thing where all these FBI agents showed up and this guy was just trying to defend himself and all this other shit, right? And he decided to go out like he decided to like Ann-hero himself instead of just surrendering to the police. If that's what happens, I'll eat my hat. I'm very confident that won't happen. I'm so confident that that's not what happened is that I don't even own a hat. So I'm not even worried about it. In fact, I'll go buy a fucking hat and eat it. I don't know. Maybe I'll get a ice cream cake made into the shape of a hat, and then I'll eat that. But I can guarantee you that wouldn't happen. And even if that was the case, even if they did show up with like 10 guys or 20 guys or something, which they very well might have, because this dude was a fucking gun nut. He was a gun nut with all this high-powered shit, and he very well knew how to use it. So maybe they did show up in force. If that's a case of what happened, right, what should he have done? Was it okay for him to just like hole up and decide to like start shooting at cops? No, he should have surrendered. Because that's what you do when the police come, when the FBI comes to your house. You're supposed to surrender. I mean, if you didn't do anything, what's the problem, right? This is what they always say to us whenever the police come and murder leftists for whatever reason. Whenever they, just happen to kill unarmed black people, for like selling loose cigarettes or something like that. What does the right wing always say? Whenever a cop shoots a black guy in the back who's just chilling in his car, not doing anything, for example. Or like shoots a black guy because they thought he had a gun and really it was a phone. Or when like they show up and there's like, a 12-year-old kid with a squirt pistol and they just blow him away within 2 seconds and don't even like say put your hands up or anything like that. Like, what do they always say in those situations? Huh? Oh, well, they should have turned themselves in. They should have gave up. They should have put their hands up. Well, that's exactly what fucking Craig Robertson should have done. He should have put his hands up, followed orders, and if he would have done that, he would have been alive. See, it goes both ways, folks. You can't like claim police brutality is bad and then at the same time claim that you're being brutalized by the police. It's like, no, it's either bad or it's good. It either applies to everyone or no one. And I just love how every single time some insane right-wing nutbag with a fucking arsenal in his house happens to be shot by the cops, all the conservatives fucking hate that. But every time like a black guy who's just, getting out of his car or trying to take his trash out or something gets blown away by the cops, it's like he got exactly what he deserved. It's like, I guess if, maybe if Craig Robertson had some like Skittles and iced tea, maybe he'd be alive, huh? The fuck out of my face. It's such bullshit, man. Couple more. This is from someone named Scarsatoon. Starstoon. Utah man threatened of killing President Joe Biden has been shot and killed during the FBI raid at his home, according to ABC. Showing the Nazis coming and blowing away an old man with a cane. Yeah, I'm sure that's exactly how it happened. I'm sure that the FBI came dressed up in their brown shirts and had like one of those old school German machine guns and shot him because Joe Biden personally ordered it. I mean, it's probably most likely the exact fucking opposite of this. Such bullshit. The FBI, I love how the conservatives hate the FBI now. It's like, the FBI was great for them in 2016 when, James Comey came out a week before the election and said Hillary Clinton was under investigation and basically lost her that election. Yeah, they loved the fucking FBI then. They hate the FBI now because it's like the FBI is actually like holding some of their fucking people accountable for a change. Suddenly the FBI is politicized. It's weaponized government. More hypocritical bullshit. Here we go. This is from Salty Texan. Those of you clapping for the state-sponsored murder of Craig Robertson can fuck all the way off. Once again, folks, all he had to do was give up, and he'd be alive. And now they're showing some other things. They're showing the Kathy Griffin thing. I like showing like this was a credible threat. Like Madonna, you know what Madonna's thing was? She said like one line like at a rally. Something to the effect of I want to blow up the White House or something. That's what she said. Right. One line. Didn't fucking matter. What is this? I don't even know what this is. I mean, is that even a threat? What is this? Is some kind of stage play right here? Like, seriously. And here's the thing, folks, right? Of course, now they have to also show, oh, this guy must be like Antifa, right? Yeah, get the fuck out of here. But once again, what happened in all of these instances? What happened with Kathy Lee Griffin? What happened with Madonna? The FBI and the Secret Service came and interviewed them. The same way that they were trying to go and interview Craig Robertson to see if the threat was credible. Because that's exactly what should happen, right? So no, were Kathy Lee Griffin and Madonna treated any differently than Craig Robertson? No. What did they do differently? What they did differently is that they didn't show up at the door with a gun. They cooperated, and guess what? Kathy Lee Griffin and Madonna are alive because they cooperated. That's the difference, right? You know, you can't support the rule of law only when it like supports your position. You have to support it in every instance, right? Me personally, myself, I think I think the FBI is like a fucking goon squad. I think the government, police in general, are fucking goon squads. But I also think that we need them, right? And this kind of shows me, it's like, shows me that conservatives don't actually give a fuck about the rule of law. Conservatives are always like trying to say that they're the law and order candidates and all this other shit. They don't give a fuck about that. They don't care about the rule of law. Conservatives don't really care about crime. No, they don't. They use it as a way to take power, just like every other fucking thing they do, because they're perfectly happy when state power is used against their political enemies. They're perfectly happy to endorse the police and the FBI as long as they get to be the ones who get away with all the crime. Right? And the minute the same rules get applied to them, they cry like little babies. So, one more of these before we leave. I actually do want to listen to this video. This is a guy named Rodney Reeves, but I'm not sure. I think he just posted this. But let's listen to what I think this guy here. I can't really read that. I do want to see what this guy has to say.
I'm sure by now. Threatened Joe Biden, right? 75 years old.
Okay, he says his name is No Quarter Given 1234. So I have heard of this dude before. He's sort of like one of those libertarian kind of MAGA chud type people. Let's listen to what the man has to say.
You heard about the guy in Utah, I'm sure by now. Threatened Joe Biden, right? 75 years old. He was born in 1948 when Harry Truman was the president. It's funny. This guy was 2 years younger than my grandfather. He's still alive and kicking today. He's an ex-Marine, ex-state trooper. Somebody comes through the fucking front door of his family home, guns blazing, you can bet your ass he's going to protect his household.
Yeah, so first off, why should it matter how old you are? Right? So what? Once you get above the age of a certain age, you're just allowed to threaten people? Is that what you're trying to say? Like, what age exactly is that then? What, 65? 70? So once I hit 70, I'm allowed to just threaten everybody on Earth. I could just make any threats I want to anyone, and no one's allowed to do shit. Is that what you're trying to say? Right? Secondly, when the police come to your door, it doesn't matter what they're doing. What you're supposed to do is surrender. Because we have decided as a society that the police are allowed to use violence against you. We have decided that. We have decided that this is a necessary evil because there are bad people in our society. And there are bad people in our society. I am not one of the progressives out there that don't believe in prisons or don't believe in policing or jail. There is a segment of the left who say that no one should ever have to go to jail for anything. I don't believe that at all. I know very well through personal experience that there are many, many, many scumbags out there who will rip you off and do you harm just because they can. And that's why we need police, because people are fucking crazy. There's crazy, insane people out there who will fucking fuck you up just because they feel like it. Who will destroy you and murder you and steal from you just because they can. That's the kind of society we live in. Right. And politics has nothing to do with that. That's just reality. And we need to have police in order to protect people. That's what police should do. That's what police should be there for. Police should be there to protect people against other people. And unfortunately, that's not what ends up happening. It ends up happening is that the police protect capital. Not even property per se, because they won't protect your property if you don't have capital. They won't. Not really. The more money you have, the better police protection you get. And that's what our society is like. And that's how it should not be. It should not be like that. It's fucking bullshit. Case in point, if this was Don Jr. who made this threat, nothing would have happened to him. I'm not even kidding. If Donald Trump Jr. posted a big-ass wall of guns and then said that he was going to get a ghillie suit and snipe and kill Joe Biden, nobody would have done shit. He would not be arrested. I guarantee it. And that's what's wrong with our society, folks. Right? But still, getting back to our little video here, it doesn't matter how old you are, right? And it doesn't matter if the police show up with an army in front of your door. You're not supposed to shoot back. We have decided this is what our society is. You're not supposed to shoot back. And guess what? If you didn't shoot back, if the guy wasn't a threat, if he just would have came out when they ordered him to come out, then he'd be alive. Of course, somebody's always going to show me some video of there's a real famous video of that one cop shooting a guy in a hallway or whatever when he was obeying orders. Yeah, shit like that happens, but you know what I'm fucking talking about. You know what I'm saying, right, folks? Let's not be pedantic about it. Moving on.
I could probably imagine that's what this old man was doing when his door got busted down. He probably grabbed his firearm for protection. They used that as an excuse to do what they did because he threatened Joe Biden. You know what? Joe Biden's starting to sound a lot like Adolf fucking Hitler. You gotta
How exactly do those things come together? How does that make any sense, what he just said? Okay. Now, I can guarantee I give it a 5, maybe 7% chance, and I'm just making that number off the top of my head, that's how the events went down. 6:15 a.m. in the morning. Do you really expect that the cops just did a commando raid on this guy? Like, they thought that this dude was so dangerous that they just, busted down his door and ran in. A 75-year-old dude with his ninja-like reflexes jumped out of his bed and grabbed his rifle. Do you really think that's what happened? Remember, it's 6:15 a.m. in the morning. Bullshit, that's not what fucking happened. I highly, highly doubt that. I find that to be not credible. That, he was just defending himself. Yeah, okay. Get the fuck out of my face. Let me tell you what really happened, right? This is what really happened. Cops came up, knocked on his door super early. He saw it was a bunch of cops. He decided to pull his fucking Patrick Henry, give me liberty or give me death moment, and that he was going to go out in a blaze of glory. And then they shot him because he had a gun. That's what fucking happened, right? It's like, no, the police didn't break in through his windows and knock his door down with a door ram and come charging in with a SWAT team and all that other shit. And then he didn't know what was going on. No, that's not what fucking... Get the fuck out of here. Remember, this guy's 75 years old, okay? I mean, what did he, spring out of bed, do a barrel roll, get his, rifle, off of the wall that he always keeps locked and loaded or whatever, just in case a team of ninjas try to break into his house or some shit? I couldn't even do that myself. I'm half that guy's age. When I wake up in the morning, it's ugh. Bullshit. Such bullshit. It's like these people, think that life is like a movie. What this dude is describing is what you would see in a movie. Like a TV show, like The X-Files or something. That's what it looks like. That's what people think real life is like. It's no. That's not what real life is like. What real life is like is that the guy came, they knocked on his door, they said, we have a warrant. That's what fucking happened. And then the dude had a gun. And then we'll find out the details, but I guarantee you 100%, if he just would have surrendered, he'd be alive. Moving on.
Help me make sense of this thing. You got a 75-year-old nobody in Utah supposedly making threats because he's lived through the good times and he's watching his country just fall. He's probably going to say some hateful things, and that's okay because it's America. Freedom of speech. Hell, let's read.
Yes, but there are limits to freedom of speech. Making threats to people is not protected by the First Amendment. To anyone. You're not allowed to threaten anybody. It could be your neighbor, it could be the president. Doesn't matter. If you make a threat to someone, you can go to jail for that. If it's a credible threat. The police, what's supposed to happen is the police come and they investigate. And is it credible that, if you threaten to kick your neighbor's ass, is it credible that you can kick his ass? Well, if they come over and they find out that you're an 85-year-old sort of like decrepit dude in a wheelchair, and you've been saying, I'm going to kick your ass if you step on my lawn, are they going to arrest you? No, they're not. You know why? Because the threat's not credible. Okay. But if they come to your house and you're threatening your neighbor and you're like a fucking MMA guy and you have a history of domestic violence and you have like 6 or 7 priors for assault, then yes, that's a credible threat. Right? I mean, am I wrong here? Same fucking thing applies in this situation. The guy's making threats to the president. He has the equipment and the training to carry them out. It was a credible threat. Use of force is justified. Am I wrong? And to my friends on the left here, my leftist friends who say that police should never arrest people, you should never go to prison for anything, they should never use violence for whatever. Yeah, that's a lofty goal, and I agree in a perfect Star Trek utopian society, that's what it would be like. But what would you do in this situation? If you don't believe in policing, if you don't believe that the government has the ability or the right to use force to enforce laws, like, how do you stop this situation when there's somebody with a bunch of weapons who is making threats to kill someone? What would you do in this situation? Do you just do nothing? Do what? What do you do? I mean, I think it's perfectly reasonable to go and talk to the person, possibly arrest them for making threats. Don't you say? Especially when it comes to the president. You're not allowed to threaten the goddamn president. Those threats are even taken more seriously than just threatening your neighbor. You're not allowed to just threaten the president with violence or harm of any kind. So, how is this shit not justified? That's what I'm not getting here. Where's the big fucking travesty, the breakdown in American justice? Where did that part come from here? I mean, did he make the fucking threats or didn't he? Kind of sounded like he did to me.
Rewind the clock, 2017, 2018-ish. A-listers will go live on television with their award shows making jokes about Donald Trump's life, or if the White House would blow up Madonna, or Kathy Griffin's beautiful picture holding a fake head of Donald Trump up. That's cool, that's accepted. No FBI went after that. That's a little more harsh, I'd say, than a 75-year-old man speaking his mind about the most worthless fucking president we've ever had in history.
So Madonna or Kathy Lee Griffin did not make credible threats. They were not credible threats. They didn't have a fucking arsenal of guns, right? They didn't have the training. They weren't threatening to snipe the president wearing a ghillie suit from fucking a mile away. Okay. And yes, they did get interviewed. The Madonna thing, I don't know, but I know for a fact that Kathy Lee Griffin got a visit from the Secret Service over that, because it's against the law what they did, and their threats were not credible, so that's why they didn't go to prison. Okay, and what's this other shit about the worst fucking president ever? Joe Biden is seriously not the worst fucking president ever. I mean, really, Donald Trump was contender for worst president. I still think it's up between George W. Bush and Donald Trump for worst president. Like, George W. Bush has had more, like, long-lasting damage to the country and the world. But Donald Trump was, like, just more inept, more of an idiot, and, like, fucked up more things in the short term, which we're still dealing with, which may have more of a long-term effect. So I think we're going to have to wait a good 10 to 15 years to say which one of them is worse. But Joe Biden, the worst president ever? I mean, I don't think so, man. The economy disagrees with you. The unemployment numbers disagree with you. Worst president ever. I don't think so. I mean, yeah, okay, Biden is not the best president ever, but he's done some good things. You know, he pulled us out of Afghanistan. He ended Afghanistan, right? He could have, like, if he wanted to, he very well could have found some other reason to keep troops in Afghanistan, to keep that going, a 20-year war and occupation, where that was just a time and resource suck. And that's the thing about Afghanistan, is like we knew, even back then, that it was a time and resource suck. And just people were just dying every fucking year for 20 years. And we're not accomplishing anything. He ended that. Trump didn't have the balls to end that. Obama didn't have the balls to end that. That right there is why I'm going to vote for Joe Biden again. I mean, let alone all the other shit that he's done. You know, Build Back Better and good economy and all that. Keeping unemployment super fucking low, etc., etc. Right? I mean, yes, we need more. I'm not saying that he's the best president ever. We definitely need more. He could be doing more. But the worst president of all time? I just love how the current president is always the worst president of all time. I bet you $1,000,000 if I were to sit down with this guy and try to tell him why is he the worst president ever. This dude would just come up with conspiracy theory bullshit. I bet you $1,000,000 he couldn't find one fucking reason to tell me why Joe Biden is the worst president ever. Not one that's actually, like, worth a shit, I guess. He could probably give me, like, tons of bullshit reasons why he's so bad. Probably the Hunter Biden stupid fucking laptop and other things like that. Anyway.
I say this with every inch of me. This is the most dangerous time to be alive and be a God-fearing, red-blooded American who just loves their country. It's gone. The old days are gone.
I think I have to agree with that. I do have to agree that this is the most dangerous time to be alive for Americans. The reason why it's so dangerous is because of assholes like him. That's why it's a dangerous time to be alive, because we have assholes like this who support it when an insane old man with fucking a wall of machine guns wants to murder the president. That's why it's dangerous. This is why it's a dangerous time, because people like this guy, goddamn, I cannot draw a straight line to save my fucking life. People like this asshole justify violence. Because people like this dude, they're like the exact opposite of everything they say they are. Just want to keep that in mind. Good old-fashioned God-fearing Christians who claim that they just want freedom and they want to be left alone and all that other stuff. Then when they take power, they do the exact opposite. They do everything they can to take away everybody else's freedom and butt themselves into everybody else's business. That's exactly what's going on in this country. It's called fascism, folks. It's called fascism. That dude right there is a fucking fascist. Christo-fascist. This guy, Craig Robertson, was a fucking fascist. Right? MAGA fascist. That's what they are. When the rules apply to you, but not to them, that's fascism. And it's like, we all know the rules of the game now. You know, they'll say anything, they'll support anything that gives them an advantage. When the rules, you know, are not to their advantage, they break the rules. Right? They're against violence, except when the violence is from someone on their side. When it's totally 100% justified. Oh yeah, January 6th. Oh, that was all a setup by the feds, unless it was really Antifa. And by the way, it was justified anyway because that election was stolen, etc., etc., etc. Right? That's what's making it so goddamn dangerous to be an American nowadays. Because that guy right there, you know, this dude, this 75-year-old dude, if he was 50 years younger, who knows on what kind of insane, ridiculous incel fucking rampage this guy would have gone on and started shooting up whatever shopping mall he would have gone and like blown up. Right? Who knows what would have happened? I mean, the dude fits the profile. That's the thing about it. He fits the profile. He said all the same rhetoric. I'm sure he was a nice person to his friends and family. But even nice people are not allowed to threaten the president. Even nice people are not allowed to wave a gun when the FBI shows up at their house to talk to them. Right? So it's going to get crazy, folks. You know, this next election time, or this next year, is another presidential election, and the crazies are coming out of the woodwork. So be careful. We can only hope that cooler heads prevail, and insane people like this don't start showing up at polling places and stuff. Does it mean that you cower in fear? Does it mean that you don't go out and vote? That you don't become politically active? No, that doesn't mean that at all. The way to stop people like this guy Craig Robertson is to get out there and show them that you're not going to be intimidated. That's how you stop Craig Robertson. People like Craig Robertson is that you don't give in to fear. So, yes, be careful. But no, get out there and vote. Go to your rallies. Register people to vote. Be politically active. And don't let the terrorists win, I guess, huh? Kind of feels pretty good to say that, actually, after 20 years. Hello, folks. If you like what I do and you want to support the channel, please consider buying something from my Etsy shop, supporting me on Patreon, liking and subscribing, and checking me out across my social media links listed below. Thank you all so much, and see you next time.